are talking Harvest of the Dead, Halloween Night. And this is directed by Peter Goddard and Terence Elliott, which is actually a sequel to a 2015 movie. Now, I've not seen the original. I've only ever seen this one. It's a low-budget British slasher zombie movie. What interested me, it was actually filmed in the New Forest, which is where I live. I actually live in that area, which is kind of why I was kind of interested in kind of watching it, to be honest. Now, it is a sequel. It does follow directly on from the original movie, but it's kind of, from what I gather, a completely new set of characters, so you don't really have to watch the first one. Ultimately, it has kind of two storylines that kind of dovetail into each other. Our one storyline, I suppose, our main one, is we have this kind of Halloween party. It's all set on Halloween night, and Dani Thompson's character, who is a kind of voluptuous British scream queen, she is hosting a Halloween party, and it's the prep for the party, and her friends are coming around, etc. There's all lots of kind of like, oh, so-and-so sleeping with so-and-so kind of talk and all that kind of stuff. In the meantime, we have a police investigation to a serial killer, which I'm assuming that bit leads kind of directly out the first movie. And the lead detective is actually the father of Dani Thompson's character, Sally. And ultimately, they're trying to track down this kind of serial killer, who is this kind of masked dude with a plague doctor kind of face mask and a screwdriver sticking out of his eye. And he's kind of going around killing people, but he's ultimately kind of controlled by some type of mad scientist who has figured out a way how to turn people into zombies for some type of dark ritual. And that's kind of your movie. Does that sound random to you? Good, because it is. This is a really weird, slapped together movie, I have to say. Let's talk about what I think works with it. Woo. I'll be honest, right? This is the second time I've recorded this review, because the first one I just went into a massive tirade. Because there's just, this movie is such a slap together movie. But I'm going to control myself. I'm going to be professional. And I'm going to do a professional job in this review, I think. Right, let's get on with it. So, what works? Okay. Because this is such a weirdly put together movie, it does feel somewhat unique. I'll give it that. It feels like a movie which is not a lot like other films that you've seen, partially because it has no real main character. Dani Thompson, as I mentioned, she's kind of a very voluptuous British kind of scream queen, used to be a kind of glamour model, etc. And she is the main character, but I'm assuming, this is speculation on my part, it's because she's ultimately the most well-known actor in this movie. They couldn't afford her for a huge amount of days. So she's not actually in the movie loads. Enough just to, I suppose, just to kind of make her the female lead, but she's not in it a hell of a lot. So we also get the kind of time split between her character, her kind of sequences with her friends, and a kind of this police investigation where we have her father, who is, I suppose, the male lead. And then we just have an extended flashback that kind of gives you the backstory, to some degree at least, of this kind of, masked killer. And then a bunch of zombies turn up. It's just like, what? This movie's just all over the place, but it's kind of like, it's like a car crash. You just can't help but look. Thinking, what is it? What's going on there? All these mangled parts. Just like, what's actually meant to be going on? So I found that interesting. There's a couple of okay kind of low budget practical effects sequences, I will say. A couple of okay kind of kills, but there are some that suck, which we'll come on to. I think there is an interesting idea here. I actually quite like the fact, one of the aspects I liked was we have a serial killer who ultimately falls victim to something worse, i.e. this kind of mad doctor, which I found like an interesting idea, but we have no idea why this guy's doing it. Doesn't matter, he just is. But there was an interesting idea. There's lots of nudity in this movie, including the first sequence where you'll see Miss Dani Thompson with them hanging out. So there you go, lots of nudity for you. That's kind of where I'm at with this one. Right, okay. let's talk about what doesn't work. Let's talk about the bigger stuff first, then we'll kind of look at the more of the minutiae of what I think is the issues here. So let's prefix it by saying, and let's be fair, this is a low budget movie, a low budget independently produced movie. So there are limitations to what we can expect in a production like this. However, there are things here that I feel are avoidable with such kind of low budget restrictions. For one thing, have a protagonist that we as the audience can follow, because otherwise we can't relate to anyone. Dani Thompson's screen time is so limited, she gets barely any characterization, so we don't know really anything about her other than just this pretty girl who is having a Halloween party. Might be enough for some, but you know, as a kind of a protagonist who we are meant to follow and care about, there's not enough there. There's just not enough there. Don't have someone who you can't afford if that's going to be the issue, I would suggest. And like I said, I'm assuming that's the problem, but it strikes me as that's probably the case. And then we have these kind of like such weird pacing issues. Considering we have two separate storylines that kind of converge, that's splitting the time up enough. Then we have this huge, like, kind of flashback sequence, which is about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes maybe, with different characters. And then we have, for example, like a 10-minute sequence where our detective, and this is Dani Thompson's character's father in the film, literally has a conversation that lasts around 10 minutes about his marital problems. I think, you know, why are we... And they're meant to be doing police work. They're meant to be, like, looking for a serial killer, but it's like they're just having a leisurely walk down this kind of country road, talking to each other, this other cop, not looking at anything, and thinking, what? You know, what is going on? And then randomly we have zombies turning up. No reason, you know, don't know why. What is the Doctor's idea? What's the end game with them? How has he done it? You know, doesn't matter. Why are they just there? So this is just like, it just seems like it's just slapped together, to be honest. The actual kind of plot here. Now let's look at some kind of like more finer detail here. And let's talk about detail because the attention to it is rather lacking, you might say. You literally have, okay, let's talk about this Halloween party. Oh my God, are you sitting comfortably? Okay, this Halloween party, right, is clearly not filmed anywhere near that kind of time of year because it's like no decorations on anyone's houses. You see no one dressed up in the street like people trick-or-treating and stuff like that. If you're going to do it on Halloween, get some B-roll of Halloween, of people's houses done up, of kids walking around trick-or-treat. And there's nothing, it's completely bare. And then we have these people in, air quotes, fancy dress, and it's just like, they've got a little blood down here, or it's someone's wearing like a, you know, white face paint, or a skeleton t-shirt. It's such a lame kind of like, looking kind of Halloween. And then we get to this party, and it's so stupid. We have this house party where the killer just magically kind of is able to get into the house. Doesn't, he just is, don't worry about it. And then we have different rooms in this house, and like this, you don't hear any music, you don't hear anyone talking, anyone kind of laughing. It's just, whenever you look at these different rooms with different people, you can only ever hear them talking. It's just like, oh, it's so silly. And then it will be like, we'll have a sequence where these like zombies are attacking, and we see it's daylight outside, and then literally the next sequence, someone runs out the house and it's pitch black darkness. Oh my God! I mean, it's just like the attention to detail, and that's just like this party sequence. That's just that one sequence. The attention to detail is so lacking. You know, and then like I said, these zombies just turn up for really no reason. And we have a character, we have this cop turn up, right? He doesn't know there's zombies there. As far as he's concerned, he gets a call that there's a masked serial killer in a house. So this policeman turns up, and there's a couple of, you know, in the film, zombies that are outside. But this cop doesn't know that. But he gets a crowbar and just bashes them over the head. As far as I mean, bear in mind this is meant to be Halloween. They're just gonna, you know, outside. He just whacks them over the head. Thinking, You don't know that they're zombies. You haven't encountered them yet. How have you just smashed them over the head? Jesus Christ. The acting is, let me be kind when I say this, a mixed bag. One of the things that struck me about this movie is clearly they have been a lot of direction in regards to their body movement. I noticed this a lot actually on low budget films, is that they're delivering the lines. The director's clearly given them obviously the script and the lines, but he hasn't told them how to act. So you have these kind of like these weird, unnatural kind of like what people are doing with their arms, and they're kind of like, oh, I don't know, really know. They're kind of positioning themselves and not like acting like normal people. Oh God, it's just like, oh God. I could go on and on. To be honest with this one, it's just not a good film. I don't want to rant. I don't like ranting videos. But sometimes one can't control themselves. So yeah, it's not a good film. It's kind of a funny film to watch. It is a film, I guess you could say. It's so bad, it's entertaining, is a better way to describe it. Which I've just reviewed another film where I've said the same thing. Yeah. What a weird film. Like, what a weird film. Zombies just turn up. 3 out of 10, and that's, I feel I'm being generous, to be honest. Have you seen it? Have you seen the original? I've no real desire to see the original after this, I'm not going to lie to you, but I wonder if that's any better. Please do leave me a comment. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.